Hi everyone, Mon here. Welcome to the channel and welcome if you're new here. Welcome if you've been a subscriber and you've finally been notified by YouTube, okay? There's only a few people sort of watching these videos at the moment, so please like, pop a comment in. That's what helps the algorithms. My name's Mon. The channel's called Intuitive Soul Savant. We're all soul savants on this channel, really, because we've all taken a more spiritual path, you could say, in our life, as opposed to the mundane path that society has conditioned many people to live by. But all that's changing, if you haven't noticed. It's a very slow change. There's no doubt about that. As far as the astrology goes and the amazing transits that astrologers are now seeing, which herald the changes of energy on Earth here, it's a great time to start learning astrology. And, astrology isn't a topic that you learn to become an astrologer, to do other people's charts. That is a choice. I've picked my first astrology book up when I was 17, so that's 43 years ago, and I have only been doing charts in the last 10 years, mainly because astrology was so underground, okay? But now, if you've noticed on YouTube, there's lots of channels, lots of young people making videos regarding astrology. I've always said to you guys, you need to find somebody who is mature. A teacher is mature, all right? Going right back through the ages with the sages, a teacher was usually always someone older who had life experiences, because it's all well and good that we discuss transits, planets, signs, but if we don't understand how that energy actually manifests in our 3D world, 5D world, it's just information. It's just information. And, we need to study under people who have been doing it for a long time, even myself, okay? I regard my teachers as people that have been studying longer than me, and there are teachers out there that have. So that was interesting. I didn't expect to say that just then, but somebody must have wanted to hear that, or to confirm that you stick with the strength, okay? Because all of these planets and transits are maturing us. They are growing us, okay? So, you really need to look at who you're listening to and what they've actually, and how honest and authentic they are as to their experience with the planets. Let's take Pluto, for example. Pluto can take you to such a state in your life of loss that, as a Capricorn, I felt embarrassed. I felt embarrassed to have other people look into my life and see how far I'd fallen. Now, I knew that it was a Pluto transit, but others didn't. And it's pride. It's human pride. It's the ego. You don't want people to see you crying, so you apologize when you cry, those sort of things. But astrology is a personal development tool, just like tarot cards are, just like the runic stones are, and many other modalities out there, because they basically give a guide from hanging on the tree, like the hangman, rock bottom, we'll call that, without tarot, or a Saturn energy, Pluto, rock bottom, and through astrology, tarot, what have you, there's a guide. There's a guide to get through those energies, to undergo the suffering that those energies bring. I didn't expect to say that either. So I hope you're all well. It is Sunday here, Sydney, Australia time. I didn't make a video yesterday. I've been a little bit uncomfortable. You know, I've had Jupiter transiting my natal 12th house, and Cancer rules that house. Jupiter is in Cancer, and as a Capricorn, my natal sun opposes that 12th house, opposes that Cancer energy. You know, so I've been really feeling the isolation of the 12th house. I've been loving it because sleep is beautiful. But having Cancer in the 12th house, for me, you know, it really takes me out of the scene. I'm not seen, you know, Jupiter in the 12th house. I'm not seen. When Jupiter ingresses over my ascendant into Leo, then wow, okay, I get the full burst of Jupiter's energy, and I come out of that cave. But you know, it can be a little bit uncomfortable even for a Capricorn to have such steady, stable inner energy, you know, and it's been going on for many years. I mean, we had Mars in Cancer retrograde, so that was like a 7-8 months that I had Mars in the 12th house when it was in Cancer. Okay, so that was the same sort of energy of behind the scenes, not being visible to others. And I imagine that's probably why my channel is not getting the notifications out to all of the subscribers. Like last week's video, there was only 30 views, 30 out of 1,000. So that's interesting, you know, but let's put it down to that 12th house and having Jupiter there. Now, this week is a quiet week for transits. However, we do have 2 transits that you will be able to measure, feel, okay? And that is Uranus square the nodes, the North Node in Pisces, the South Node in Virgo. So that comes into, you'll be able to feel that energy from the 3rd of June to the 17th of June. And on the 12th of June, that's when Uranus exactly squares the nodes, okay? Now, this energy, yes, there's no doubt about it that you will feel this energy. Uranus is the awakener, the surprise agent that comes from left field. Always remember that. The surprise is always from left field, something that you wouldn't have imagined, okay? So with our nodes in the Pisces Virgo axis, we've been heading towards our spiritual awareness of our spiritual life as a human being. And the South Node, they always say it's letting go. However, not everyone has something to let go of in their Virgo placements, and some do have a lot to let go of. But number one that comes to mind is that perfectionism. Okay, because the perfectionism leads into workaholism, right? And workaholism is against the grain of the Virgo archetype, because the Virgo archetype is about health, right? Our self-care, our health. And Virgo rules the service industries, okay? So, you know, we need to let go of a tight grip on, you know, those lower frequency shadow areas of Virgo. And with Uranus squaring these nodes, you know, it could be a beautiful spiritual surprise over this time. With Uranus squaring the nodes, you've decided to meditate between the 3rd and the 17th of June. And wow, Uranus is giving such because it is in Gemini, so Uranus is giving us a higher perspective, an intellectual perspective rather than a mundane perspective in our meditation. So that would be a really good thing. If it is more about the South Node in Virgo for an individual, you know, that surprise may come, you know, as a shock, right? Because Uranus does rule shock, all right? So, you know, if we've been overworking, if we've been undervaluing our health, right, Uranus may come as a surprise to get us on track. Now, those nodes, the exact square, Uranus to the nodes on the 12th of June is at 2 degrees 43 minutes. 2 degrees 43 minutes. So because the nodes are retrograde, okay, clockwise the nodes go, yeah, that's correct. But you know what I mean. They move backwards, okay? So they would start in a sign at 29 degrees. And that's where the nodes were. They started at 29 degrees Pisces and 29 degrees Virgo. And now we're getting down into the early degrees of those signs. That tells us that soon the nodes will be heading into North Node Aquarius, South Node Leo. Now, that is interesting because we know that in Aquarius lays Pluto. We also know that Jupiter, at the end of this month, June, happy birthday, Geminis, at the end of this month, Jupiter will be heading into Leo, right? So Jupiter in the next year will conjunct those nodes. I don't have the degrees today, but we will discuss that down the track. So there's energy approaching us, all right? But these last couple of degrees of the axis of Pisces and Virgo, you know, we're doing our last minute cleanup, you could say, or integration, because if it's North Node Pisces, we're integrating a more spiritual perspective of us as human beings and of this life. All right. And, you know, we know that there's upheaval. We know there's revolution. We know that the human being is evolving. All right. And it's very slow. Okay. It is a slow process. And we may not even get to our desired lifestyle this life. Right. It is just the start of big changes for the human being. Many on this channel are old souls. Many of us here are finishing up a cycle, okay, of many lives, many ancestral patterns, and we find ourselves in life today with the awareness of those patterns, with the resources to work on those patterns, whereas our grandparents didn't even have the nous to do it or the desire. Life was very simple then. In my lifetime alone, there has been many changes in the 60 years, and we need to have compassion for ourselves regarding that, because it is a lot to bear. How much can a koala bear? All right. And I feel it. And I work very hard on evolving myself with the awareness that I have today. So the Uranus squaring the nodes, use the energy, use the awareness that you have in the next few weeks through June as Uranus is squaring those nodes, right? But it's in aspect now. You can feel it as of the 3rd of June, all right? So here in East Coast of Australia, there's no aspects today, no aspects tomorrow, Monday, no aspects Tuesday, so it's very quiet early week. However, on Wednesday, this will be Tuesday for you guys in the Northern Hemisphere, okay, because it's 5:59 a.m. that Venus will conjunct Jupiter in Cancer. So, you know, Venus is getting close to Jupiter, so we could already feel that energy approaching. Now, you know, it's at 25 degrees and 47 minutes, so it's sort of later, the 3rd decade of Cancer. and Jupiter has been there in Cancer for nearly a year. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, so Jupiter loves being in Cancer. Venus doesn't mind being in Cancer either. But, you know, many astrologers that are just learning about Venus and Jupiter. Oh, wow, we're all going to win the lottery. Oh, wow, we're going to meet the love of our life. I mean, they are the two benefic planets, right? We have two, Jupiter and Venus, benefic planets, beneficial, okay? And our malefic planets is Saturn and Mars, all right? But there's a place for every planet in our life, okay? There is a place. So, you know, let's not into this Venus conjunct Jupiter with our rose-coloured glasses. Let's have a little bit of awareness, all right? Now, for the example that I gave, I have Cancer in the 12th house. So when Venus conjuncts Jupiter, I won't be throwing a party, all right? That is not the house for Venus and Jupiter to have a big party. If anything, I'm sure I'm going to have some beautiful meditations, all right? I meditate every day for an hour. So most days are just, wow, you know, I've gotten to that place with my activated light body. But, you know, some days the mind, especially when Uranus went into Gemini, I very much noticed the activity of my mind while meditating and how busy it was and what it wanted to think about. Okay, so you need to know the house, and I will bring you a video this week regarding the Venus conjunct Jupiter in all of the houses, all right? I'll make sure that I bring that before it actually happens, Tuesday evening, for you guys in the northern hemisphere. All right, I'll bring you a video for the houses of that. So just be aware, yes, they're two benefic planets. They are meeting in Cancer. Venus will not conjunct Jupiter in Leo. All right, so just be aware of that. The next conjunction of Venus and Jupiter will be in Virgo, which we've already discussed a little about today. So that's on Wednesday, early in the morning here, Tuesday evening for you guys, Northern Hemisphere, at 25 degrees, 47 minutes. So, you know, my natal sun is at 26 degrees, 50 minutes. So I'm going to have Venus and conjunct Jupiter opposing my natal sun in the 6th house, right? So, you know, the houses aren't all you know, they're not the 6th house is the worst house, you know, to have a natal sun or any planets for that matter. It's a tricky house, the 6th house. You know, so my expectations are just relatively small that, you know, the day will go with ease. But on the same day, a couple of hours later, we have the sun opposing Lilith. Now, the sun's in Gemini, our logical thinking. Lilith is in Sagittarius, our higher mind. I think Lilith loves to be in Sagittarius because of that freedom that Sagittarius offers Lilith, okay, and that expansion that Lilith feels while she's in Sagittarius. Think global, okay, international. You know, so there may be an issue with the freedom. Now, here's the thing. This is the same day as Venus conjunct Jupiter. We may feel the energy, and the problem with Jupiter is that he can feel so exuberant, so positive, so happy that it thinks he can do anything, Jupiter, all right? But, you know, we are all restrained by Saturn here on this planet, okay? Jupiter and Saturn. They're very opposite energetically. Saturn is restriction, Jupiter is expansion. So having the sun oppose Lilith, don't get too cocky. Don't get too positive is what I'm saying. Don't get too loved up, all right? Remember Saturn. And I'll tell you how you remember Saturn, because the same day that Venus conjuncts Jupiter, The Sun opposes Lilith, Mercury squares Saturn. All right? So Mercury in Cancer, along with the Venus and the Jupiter, is going to square Saturn in Aries. So that structure, that discipline that we have been implementing with Saturn in Aries for ourselves, Aries, the self, okay, that discipline that we've been either accepting or what is the word, rejecting, okay, because Saturn is restriction and we don't like to feel restricted. That's why we love Jupiter, because we love expansion. Okay, so this whole Venus conjunct Jupiter is very beautiful, lovely, but we've got the Sun in Gemini opposing Lilith, and we've got Mercury in Cancer opposing Saturn. So maybe we have our family on our mind and it is squaring our responsibility to ourselves, Saturn in Aries. All right. So just be with wisdom, walk with wisdom with this Venus conjunct Jupiter, and don't get carried away. I get carried away with Jupiter. I know I do. I think that I can't do wrong when I'm feeling that positivity and that expansive energy. You just think everything's going to stay like that forever. And, life is up and down. Okay. So that is Tuesday evening here. Tuesday evening, North Hemisphere, and Wednesday here in the Southern Hemisphere. So Thursday, there's no exact transits. However, we start to feel on Thursday, after all that energy with Jupiter and Venus, we start to feel the Neptune sextile Pluto energy. Now that will come in on the 11th, this coming Thursday. It won't be exact until the 25th of July. They're both slow moving, Neptune and Pluto, like Pluto's given a 3-degree orb, all right, textbook 3-degree orb, but, we don't believe that here because we've proven that Pluto has a much wider orb because we feel it, okay. So Neptune sextile Pluto, exact on the 25th of July, but the energy comes in this week. When it does exactly sextile, it'll be at 4 degrees 20 minutes. Now, remember the 4 degrees. I did make a video about the 4 degrees. I'm going to put it in the description box here as well as the comments section. All right. Now, get a load of this. Neptune is going to sextile Pluto 13 times exact. All right. And that the last time that it will sextile Pluto, Neptune, will be the 29th of February 2032. So over the next 6 years, we have this beautiful outer planets propelling us, moving us forward as a collective, because Pluto's in Aquarius, ruling the collective. So that energy comes in this week, and we will have that sextile on the 25th of July, okay? And, Pluto will be retrograde for that one, okay? So 13 times. So by 2032, we're going to know this energy so well, and the changes that take place will blow our minds, apparently, all right? It'll blow most people that don't study astrology because they're not expecting it. This is the beautiful thing about astrology. We have a heads up to the energies and where life could go, all right? So that's Thursday, that energy starts, Neptune sextile Pluto. We'll talk about that more in July. Friday is the exact day when Uranus squares those nodes at 2 degrees 43 minutes. And that'll happen in the afternoon here, the exact, okay? But the energy's here now, all right? The energy is here now. And then Saturday, which I hope to make the video. I like to do it on Saturday, Saturn's Day, but I was feeling a bit flat yesterday and it wasn't the day to make a video. But I knew we had a quietish week and we had just a few transits that we could discuss. So Saturday is the 13th and Venus will square Chiron. Venus in Cancer will square Chiron in Aries at the very last degrees. And that the same day, Venus then ingresses into Leo. So Venus will be the first personal planet to go into to Leo, okay? And then Jupiter will go into Leo at the end of June, right? And then those nodes will go into the Leo Cancer, Leo Aquarius axis, all right? So that's big energy to me. You know, it's not energy where, oh, be careful, watch out, but it's change. It's change energy, especially for Leo risings, because we've got that, we've had all that darn energy in the 12th house. Like, how much can a koala bear, you know? Oh, dear, I'm waiting for a bit of action, you know? I'm looking forward to a bit of action with Leo rising. Yes, and I want to be visible too, you know? I want to start my shorts channel, reels or whatever it is, you know, and sort of move forward a little bit with being a little bit more visible as an astrologer, a good astrologer. All right. So that's it. That's it. You know, sometimes we have to do things when we don't feel like it. And this weekend I didn't feel like being visible. All right. But here I am. I just want to get consistency, and I love you guys that are watching, okay? You've been very loyal, and I really, really appreciate it. And the other guys, you guys that are on the other channel, the Soul Savant channel, I'll be back this week to finish off that first series. I've got 2 videos to finish off the first series, all right? And that is in the description box if any of you guys want to pop over there. It's not about astrology. It's about enlightenment and ascension. That's what I'm here for, ascending out of this body, and I do not want to return. I'd rather come back as a higher being next life, and I've known that all this life. So that's why I've worked so hard on evolving through all of the ancestral patterns. But I'll talk about that more on the other channel. So for those of you where it's Saturday, the Northern Hemisphere, have a beautiful weekend. Enjoy your summer. I'm so envious because it's starting to get cold here, long sleeves, dark at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, so snuggly in the flannelette sheets of a morning that I don't want to get out of bed so early. People think, oh, yes, Australia doesn't get very cold, but, you know, the weather is changing a couple of degrees here and there, and we all feel it. So I love you all, and thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe, please, if you're new. It helps the channel and helps these videos get out to others. So love you all. Namaste and bye.